So here we go. So I'm recording. I'm going to launch Adobe Illustrator. You have plenty of time to catch up with me if you're just coming in. So what I'm going to do is sort of give you the next assignment today. Again, nothing's due until the last day of class. Nothing in the class is due until then, okay? Oh, I didn't mean to make that small. So if you're just coming in, launch your Illustrator. So the next assignment is a resume. And generally what we do for the next assignment is a logo. You guys are all working on a letterhead, correct? Just to make sure we're in the same place. Okay. Generally the next assignment is a logo, but I find that a lot of people, if they want to do that, they've already done it with their letterhead. And what I'm finding with a lot of students here is you guys don't really have a decent resume, which you should have. So we're going to make one of those instead of a logo. So I'm going to hit Create New here in Illustrator. And I'm going to choose print. You don't have to use this preset. Generally, your resume should be 8.5 by 11, sort of standard American legal size. Okay, I'm going to switch this to inches so you can see what's what. So this is the 8.5 by 11 sort of portrait aspect ratio letter. So I'm going to hit Create. Again, I launched Illustrator. I hit Create New. Under Print, I'm choosing the first one, and I'm going to hit Create. I'm recording this, so if you're not following with me, you can watch it later and you can get caught up, okay? I'm going to tell this to remind me later. All right, this is the little hand tool that moves your artboard around in your viewfinder there. So this is a basic sort of resume layout, and I'm just going to do a little bit of it tonight. I'm not by any means going to try to create an entire resume. But tools we've talked perhaps a little bit about is the selection tool and the direct selection tool. We'll use some of those. We'll use the type tool, we'll use rulers, and we'll use guides, okay? A couple ways to turn on your rulers. Go under View, hit Rulers here in the middle and say Show, or you can toggle them on and off with Command R. That's a shortcut, all right? I like to have rulers out because when rulers are out, you can see sort of like exactly where you're at on the ruler. You also can drag guides out, right? So maybe if I click in the ruler and I drag out a guide, you know, maybe I want like 3/8 of an inch on either side of this thing as a margin, all right? So I'm saying 1, 2, 3 over here. You might not be able to see that up on that screen, really, the ruler very well, but when you play back the video, you'll be able to see it pretty well. All right, so I'm just making little margins, and then down on the bottom, you know, I want a good sort of like 1/2 inch margin going on here. Where are you, 1/2 inch? I'm going to say you're right there. Bam, first try, okay? So you can throw your guides out. If you ever want to clear your guides, you know, you can just go under Guides. You can hide them, show them, or clear them to get rid of them. Like I can hide them, they're still there. If I want to do some different things, I can bring them back later and show them again, okay? So rulers and guides are a good thing to get into when you're working in Illustrator if you just want to sort of line things up, okay? So my resume, generally what I have is sort of like a masthead that talks about my name and information and maybe an objective or something. Then I've sort of got like an educational space, and I've got like a work experience space. So if I'm 11 inches tall, I can start to sort of dividing up that space if I want to. So I'm going to say my masthead at the top, sort of my about me, is going to be, you know, 1.25 inches. It's going to fit in here. So I'm at 1.5 inch. I'm going to say my next segment goes down to about 4 inches. You don't have to throw down guides like this, of course, but I like to do it because I just find that it helps me sort of break up the space. All right? So there it is. There's me sort of getting my file all set up. I'm going to put my personal information, masthead objective here. I'm going to put maybe my education here. I'm going to put work history here. This is going to be like other skills, la. There's no right or wrong way to set up a resume. You can do yours however you want. All right? I'm just giving you a basic skill set and recording it so you can sort of go back and scrub through how I use some of the tools if you want to use them yourself. But at this point, it's a great time to save your work. Resume. Throw that baby on the desktop. Call it good. Everything here is good. PDF compatible file, Illustrator CC, yeah. Okay. And I've created it and I've saved it. All right. Anybody with questions on just any that much? Again, you have the video to go back and look through if you want. So the main tools we're going to use in a resume is the typography tool. Now I have a graphical resume. I can show it to you for like 10 seconds, right? Desktop, somewhere around here, I've got a thing that says LaForce Resume 2018. So you can be really graphical with your resumes, right? Sort of have all of, you know, all this kind of stuff going on. And one of my fonts didn't load, so everything's super, super jacked up in here. But you can, it's like in another language, right? But you can see there's a lot of type here, but there's also a lot of graphics, right? I've got, talking about my Star Wars cards, talking about my video game work, talking about my Kickstarter and things. I've got a lot of stuff going on down there. Where I went to school, where I've taught all that type of stuff. So you can be super graphical with things if you want to, or it can be like just type, right? So you get to choose in your resume sort of how you want to do that sort of thing. So I'm going to put, and again, I'm not really going to try to design this super well because I would, of course, go do research. I'd probably find one that I sort of like. I'd mimic it and stuff, but I'm just showing you basic workflows that'll get you started, right? So if you ever want to put like a horizontal rule or something like that, that's not super hard. Get yourself a black line with no fill, go to the pen, and just snap to your guides, and you got yourself a horizontal rule, okay? So if I hide my guides here, what's my guides, hide guide, what's my shortcut? Command, semicolon, will show and hide the guides. I've never done that before. Oh, that's beautiful, yeah. So you see I've got just a nice little horizontal rule there. I can make a bunch of them. Command, semicolon. I'm just gonna duplicate this. I click on it, I hit Alt, say I wanna duplicate it, click and drag down. I hold Shift so it stays exactly in line. If you hold Shift, it will constrain it to basic angles, right? 90, 180, 45. It won't let you just willy-nilly throw stuff around. It will constrain it to core angles. I don't think I'm gonna need one down here in the bottom, so I'm just gonna hit delete and get rid of that, all right? So I'm saying, you know, I've got some horizontal rules. I just created those with the pen tool. Once again, even when you're working in the pen tool, if you tap in there and you want a perfectly straight line, again, hold Shift and it will snap up to the, what's that, the y-axis. In other words, it'll be a perfectly horizontal line no matter where you press, okay? So that's one way to make sure you're working in a straight line, just to use Shift. Shift will constrain things to various axes. All right, so up here I want to put my name. So I'm just going to show you some basic type stuff, and I'm going to show you some basic color stuff, and then we're going to call this tutorial golden, and I'm going to let you guys work on your own stuff, all right? You can do type a couple ways. I'm just going to throw an all black in here, just a black fill on type. You can just tap and type. Right? I've spelled my name sort of wonky. I've got a capital H where it don't belong. I'm going to make this big, okay, just so that you guys can see it. All right? Chad LaForce. If I select that, if you've got a properties panel open, it will give you a bunch of context-sensitive tools for type. If I tap off type, you notice those tools go away, and it becomes context-sensitive for like stroke and placement and stuff, right? So this is a nice little panel to have open because almost anything you could ever need for what you're working on will just sort of automatically fill in over here. That's the properties panel. If you don't see it, go Window, Properties. If you don't see it in this list under Window, it means you need to upgrade your software to the latest version. You've got a version that's a year old or something like that, okay? But the properties panel is great. But you see right away it says, hey, you're working in Myriad Pro. I'm like, I hate Myriad Pro. It's for losers, for wannabes, and people that don't know how to do anything. If I sort of hover over various things over here, it will show me a preview of the fonts. Decide which one I like for my name. I'm going to go with that one. Now there is some spacing in here on my name that's a bit wonky. I like this font, but that O needs to be tighter to the F. That A is tighter to the L than it is to the F. You can just sort of tighten things up. The way you do that is select it, and over here you've got your, what we would call like your kerning. You've got your leading, which is the line spacing. You've got your kerning. So I can tap that down to like 25. Now the space between my H and my A is tighter. I'm going to do the same with that C. I'm going to get all three of these at a negative 25. Maybe they already are. Yeah, there we go. That tightened it up a touch right there. So I like how Chad looks now. Let's get that O tighter to my F. I'm going to go ahead and say a negative 50 on that. Now my O is good and tight. That's way better. A little bit too much space actually over here. And you're like, seriously? Do people like do this with their... Yeah, people do. Like real graphic designers, I'm not much of a real graphic designer, right? I'm just sort of an Illustrator guy who knows how to do some design. Real graphic designers will obsess for like much hours over how the typography looks. Like now I've got all this weird space over here. So I'm going to say, you know what? All you guys need to get tight and be in love with each other. Right? Let's get together. Let's hug. It's still too much. Too much space. Tighten it up some more. Too much space. I'm going to tighten it up some more. All right, first try, right? Yeah, way better. All right, click off, Command S, save your work. All right, so you see over here I've got a lot of different, and you're like, I don't even see a difference, and I really don't anymore either, but I'm just saying that's good enough. If you don't like what's in the drop down, you can.
Changed it back.
Did I?
You did.
Yeah, it did jump back.
Why am I doing that? I'm just going to type a number in here and just be done with it. Too much. Too much on the F. Why do I feel like these just aren't playing right? They're just like, I hate you. I'm not going to move. Anyway, I don't want to obsess over that. If it were anyone other than me, this would be working. Just know that. Okay? So that's where you do that if it's even, now that I've totally botched that somehow without even knowing how. All right? Zoom back out. You can Command plus to zoom in. You can Command minus to zoom out, or you can use the little zoom tool here in similar fashion. All right? But let's say that you don't like this stark black, because I really don't. I'll usually work on like an 88% black. So you see I'm at 100 here. I'm going to go ahead and go to 85 so you can sort of see the difference. You're like, I didn't even see anything change. But that softer gray will look way nicer on the web and stuff. It just has a more gentle feel to it when it's dark black on white. A lot of designers aren't doing that anymore. They're using like an 88, 85% gray. I'm going to do the same thing for these strokes here. And I'm just doing this so you can see where you can go change color. Right? You can adjust the sliders manually, or you can click in here and key in, or you can just pick a color in the Finder, right? I can be like, whoa, purple, yes. Oh, it's so, oh, that does not look like purple to me. So let's see what color mode I'm actually working in. I am in CMYK. I'm going to switch this whole thing to RGB. Oh, now it looks like purple. Okay, perfect. It took a second. I believe my CPU is actually acting buggy because I'm recording this, because things are acting really strange. But anyway. All right, there's my name. I changed the lines to purple. Of course, I hate them, so I changed them back. All right. It's too boring if I do my own, all right? So we're gonna do Inigo Montoya's resume. So we need like a mission statement, and of course it's gonna be storm the castle and kill the man who killed my father, that sort of thing, okay? Are me and like Natalie, or no? Yes. Why did that seem weird for a second to me? I was like, no, there's a Z in there. What's your last name? C? The Z got in the way of my Natalie for a second. I'm like, because I see all of your names in my brain before I can say them. You need to understand that. I don't hear your name. I literally see the word in my brain, or it goes away and I have no idea what your name is. So the first initial of your last name got in the middle of Natalie, and I thought your name was like Nazara or something awesome. Okay, but me and Natalie seem to be the only ones that know who Inigo Montoya is. Raise your hand if you know who Inigo Montoya. Oh, so we're fine. All right, great. Yeah, kill my father, prepare to die. All right, so that's great. What's that?
That was indigo.
No, it's Inigo. I.
Why did
I don't have to spell it right. I just have to know what it means. What was I just saying? I just explained this to you like 4 seconds ago. I don't have to have the right letters. What the heck do you guys? What do you think this is? Like spelling class? Hold on, I'm going to fix it in a second for all you purists who are just like losing your stuff because I've got an A in the start of that name. What do we call it? Like, what do you call that like statement of mission that you put on a resume? Objective? All right, I'm going to call this my objective. So this has to be an I, am I right? Is that it? Oh, man, perfect. No, it's way better.
I thought it was much better.
All right, so this, now I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to, oh, wait. Do you see what's happening? Do you see how my Illustrator is just totally jank right now? It has no idea what I'm, hold on, let me save real quick. That was bizarre. I'm going to try it again. Here we go. I'm going to make my objective like 14 point, all right? So objective is kill the guy who killed my father, right? That sort of thing. All right, so you can get an objective in there, all that type of stuff, all right? You can see this isn't the most amazing design in the world. If I was working on a resume. And then you've got your address and all that type of stuff down here. But what I wanted to show you over here is just see, I actually, instead of just clicking and making type, I actually created a bounding box that will, now if I go change it, it will reflow my type for me. All right, so that's a handy little thing. And I would recommend whenever possible, go ahead and put your type in a bounding box because it's dynamic and it will pay attention to what you're doing. And, you know, it's just an easier way to flow the type. But if you click on this and things aren't the way you want, like let's say this is really big, right? I'm going to move this over a touch. And what if I want my objective flush left, but I want kill the guy who killed my father to be in the center of that box, then I can just highlight the part I want and center align it, right? Again, right over here. So all your alignments and things are here in a paragraph. If you toggle that down, there's more. You can turn on and off hyphenating. You can do a lot of things. And all your actual character stuff is in this one. If you fly that down, once again, you can sort of get a more robust set with ligatures and smart stuff and lolly, okay? All right, but just know that all your typographical stuff is sort of right over here. If you want that panel to stay persistent, just always open, go into Window and choose Type and just fly out the one you want, like Character, and then you can just keep it up there in the corner. And then no matter whatever populates in your properties, you'll have that other panel there for you. But generally, all this will flow into your properties the moment you select something typographical anyway, okay? So a couple ways to do that. So I showed you the Type tool. I showed you a little bit with the Pen tool. I showed you rulers and guides. We have a really great Inigo Montoya resume begun here. Who has any specific questions? I just want to make you dangerous enough to get started on your resume so we can see how it goes for a week, and then I can sort of sit with you and see what are the tool sets you want to go to it. I'll tell you one thing you can do if you want to get crazy. This is a fun little trick, right? If you ever have type, you've got it just how you want it, but you want to apply like a gradient to it, or you want to do some cool drop shadowing or something, select it with your selection tool, and under type, you can do what's called create outlines. This is no longer an editable font face. It is now point by point art. And so now I could like go to my gradient panel and I could flat out throw a gradient in that baby, right? If I want the gradient to be across the whole thing, select the whole thing, get your gradient tool, and just drag across the letter forms. All right, so if I'm doing this real fast, remember you'll have the video to refer to, okay? If you're like, well, but I don't want black and white, that's easy, that's easy. Go into your, like your swatches or whatever, add whatever color you want to your swatch, click and drag that dark blue in here, and now I've got, you know, like, okay, so you can change both colors in the gradients. You can have 75 colors in this gradient. You can just drag a brown right down. Like, let me just be like, no, this totally needs like a beige, you know, whatever, right? And then you can slide them around, do whatever. To change the angle of the gradient, you can do it here, or you can grab the visual tool and just sort of drag and create angles and stuff, okay? But my main point in showing you that was that if you convert your type, if you select your type, and under the type panel, if you create outlines, then you can do more dynamic colorization and shadowing and things like that to your type, okay? So just know that that's a real thing. Anybody with questions? Feeling good about it? So make a resume. You don't have to do 8.5 by 11. If you want to make a super large resume, you can. But between this week and next week, just try to get your typography sort of where you want it. And then if you want to go in fun new directions with it, we'll do it. Next week I'll take like suggestions. Hey, what do you guys want to do with your resume? And we'll throw this up and I'll try to show you some more advanced stuff for graphical elements, okay? All right, I'm going to end the old recording because it's totally destroying my... Trying to remember how I actually even end the recording. Oh, who remembers?